Hello there, and welcome back. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2020, as Barbara Walters would say. My name is Chamberlain Burke.
And I'm Devlin Burke.
And we are here to tell you that we're back, and we've regrouped, and we've come up with a new plan that we think is going to work. We're going to try this for this year. What we're going to do is focus on what we call Band of the Month. So every month, once a week, we are going to do a podcast of one band and something about them every week. So for this week, for every week this month of January 2020, we are going to do something about Fall Out Boy. So, Devlin, tell me about your experience and history with Fall Out Boy, what you like about them, what attracts you to them and their music, and anything else you want to tell us.
Well, I became aware of Fall Out Boy, in all honesty, due to MTV. Back when MTV was good. Are we allowed to make fun of them on here? I don't know. Okay. But when they would run music videos, they would have a rock block, and there was this band Fall Out Boy. And the first video I saw was Sugar We're Going Down, and I remember being fascinated, and I went and bought their record From Under the Cork Tree. And it did not leave my CD player for like 3 months straight. What I like about and as I got to know their music, and as I got to know them as people, I became a fan. I'm a lyrical fruitcake. I will be the first one to tell you that I am. I love reading lyrics. I love copying them. I copy them by hand in pencil. This is how nerdy I am. I copy interviews by hand in pencil. I track tours. I love music, and I do this with every band I'm a fan of. And Fall Out Boy, what struck me is how beautifully complex their lyrics are. I find myself constantly trying to analyze them. Their lyrics keep me awake at night. I sit there and I read them, and I think about them throughout the day. What does that line mean? If I was brave enough to get a tattoo, it would probably be a Fall Out Boy lyric. Mm-hmm. I'm just not sure which one. I've seen them live roughly 5 times. They're amazing live. I met Patrick on his solo tour for Soul Punk. He is the nicest, sweetest guy you could ever meet. They are... I can't... I'm running out of things to say, but I can't believe I'm running out of things to say. But yeah, lyrically, they're just amazing. Musically, they are beyond belief. I want to spend a day in Patrick Stump's head and Pete Wentz's head. But yeah, I'm a fan for life. I will not stop supporting them in everything they do. Chamberlain, what about you? How did you discover Fall Out Boy, and what is it you like about them?
Well, you were the one who introduced me to Fall Out Boy. And what I like about them is their musical talent for the arrangements. Lyrically, yes, you're absolutely right. Lyrically, they have some really wonderful and thought-provoking lyrics. We're going to talk about discography and singles and things like that next week, so we'll go into more depth about that. Patrick Stump's voice is incredible, and yes, on his single album and on the group's album, I really, really enjoy their music. They use a lot of really innovative music, like I said, which we will talk about. They appear on a lot of shows. I mean, we saw them on I'm not going to give anybody's name away, one of the late night talk shows, but then again, we come back to the same thing you and I have talked about before, that bands who close late night talk shows are not invited to the couch. They are not interviewed. They are not given respect. It's like show up and sing your song and then get out. And I don't agree with that. It's very, very rare. And certainly not with a rock band and a late night interviewer will invite them to the couch. Even in some of the daytime shows that we've caught, because, so-and-so, Fall Out Boy is going to be on such and such a talk show. And all they do is come out and perform, and whoever the host or hostess is holds up their album, and then they're not spoken to and they're not given a chance or celebrated or respected. So now, that being said, yes, I like them. I like their music. I like their lyrics. I like the band. I like their sound. I like what they stand for. Let's just spend a few more minutes and let's talk about the history of Fall Out Boy. So, Fall Out Boy, we're just going to use Wikipedia, and the only reason is because this is something that is accessible to everyone. If we were to find an article in a magazine, not everybody would have it, but anybody with an internet connection can get to Wikipedia. So we're just going to spend a little bit of time talking about the members of the band and how the band was formed and what their music is. As I said, next week we're going to talk about their discography and some of their music in a little more depth. So this will just make it easier for everyone who's interested. Our goal here is to celebrate Fall Out Boy and to introduce Fall Out Boy to anybody who's listening to this who didn't know about them or maybe has a different opinion about them. So we just want to spend this time to talk about it. So Fall Out Boy was formed outside of Chicago in 2001. So there are 4 members that have been with the group and have appeared on every album. There are some other people who appear in the live performances. So they've had quite the discography and quite the touring time. What else? They have quite a lot to do. A lot of their music is different. What else do you have to say?
So they did about 4 albums, and then they took a break in 2009 to regroup. That was when Patrick did his solo album Soul Punk, which I personally thought was amazing.
I do too.
And then they regrouped and got back together in 2013 for another album I thought was amazing, Save Rock and Roll. I think in the next podcast we're going to talk about the albums and rank which ones are our favorites and things of that nature. Bands constantly touring. They've won a ton of awards. They have yet to win a Grammy.
Oh, Kerrang! Isn't that the magazine that you read? Yeah.
The Kerangs have an award show, and they
Teen Choice, other awards. Look at all this. So they are a very, very celebrated band. They've been nominated. They've won quite a bit, as you can see here.
I think the interesting thing about them, and Patrick Stump said this one time in an interview, he says when we go to a heavy metal festival, we're the lightest band there, but when we go to any other festival, we're the heaviest band there. It's like if it's a festival where they're the only rock band, they're the heaviest one there, but like they'll go to Reading and Leeds or some other festival, and they're like the lightest, and light in terms of not necessarily heavy metal-ish type music, but people will invite them because they're a band. And I think it's also because they are a big name and they will draw a crowd. I will be the first to tell you, if I see a show and it says Fall Out Boy's name, Fall Out Boy's going to be there, I'm buying a ticket.
Oh, I agree. I mean, I've seen them only a couple of times, but I feel like I've missed so much, and I'm so jealous that you saw them more times than I did. So the current members of the band, of course, are Patrick Stump, and he does the rhythm guitar, piano, keyboards, and lead vocals. Joe Troman is the lead guitar, backing vocals, piano, and keyboards. Pete Wentz, and so he does the bass, unclean vocals, and backing vocals. And Andy Hurley does drums, percussion, and occasional backing vocals. And so they have a root, as it says up here, in the hardcore punk scene. But that's not the way they come across.
I think maybe that's on their first album, Take This to Your Grave, and we're probably going to get into that when we do the next week's podcast. But it's, to me, what I see is a lot of musical growth in their music. They started out as that punk, angry band in Take This to Your Grave, and then as they moved on, they've gone into the pop punk era, which I think is a very good era, and I feel it doesn't get a lot of respect. I think people see it as it's either too poppy or it's too aggressive.
Well, and I think that anybody will know you have to change with the times. And so by adjusting their music a little bit, they're appealing to a wider um, audience and fan base, but also it gives them a chance to grow musically and lyrically, and to meet a different fan base. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good way to put it.
Yeah, every time you change, if you open yourself up to a new group, you're only going to meet people and have a chance to be more creative. So anyway, that's your introduction to Fall Out Boy. Now, what we want to point out to you is that they have a website at falloutboy.com. And on that, they have a merch page. So please avail yourselves of their merch right there. And also, let me see if I can go back here real quick. As for music, they're not selling CDs other than on Amazon, but they have streaming services on Spotify and Apple Music, Google, and YouTube. And then on Amazon has their entire, if I can open it again, has all of their CDs and some of their music, and it's you can stream it or buy it.
Their records are probably available in the store, but in the Fall Out Boy store, if you go back to the website, you can see there's a link for store, and there's a link for music right there.
Oh, okay.
And you can usually buy their records there,
or some more merch, it looks like, and some music.
Yeah, or you can go to your local record store and see if you can find their stuff there.
So we hope this introduction to Fall Out Boy has piqued your interest a little bit. If you're a fan, continue to be a fan if you like. If you're not a fan, please consider exploring Fall Out Boy and their music, and support them if you like what you hear. And then next week we're going to talk about their music in a little more depth with their discography and their hits.
Yeah, like Chamberlain said, please explore their music. Like I said, I became a fan because I read their lyrics first, and I play this game with myself where I like to try to guess, what song's a ballad and what song is up tempo. And the lyrics were really what struck me. So explore their lyrics first. You can play that game you can play my little game if you want. Just read the lyrics and try to go ballad, up tempo, ballad, and then when you finally listen to the music, you'll be amazed.
All right. We hope this has piqued your curiosity and that you will explore or continue to explore Fall Out Boy. We will talk more about them next week. Thank you very much for listening and giving us your time. We sincerely appreciate it. My name is Chamberlain Burke.
And I'm Devlin Burke.
And this is The Real CD Show, and we appreciate it. We will talk to you next week. Bye.